Sophia was given a miniature theater, she fell in love with it immediately. It was an elegant, detailed dollhouse, but it was not a simple one. Its stage was decorated in the style of an old Victorian theater, with tiny wings, velvet curtains, and a painted backdrop depicting a dark forest. Inside were the dolls. They were made of wood, with thin, movable joints and hand-carved faces. Sophia ran her finger over their smooth faces in admiration. Their expressions were very realistic, almost lifelike. "Look, Mom, they are so real." "Yes, dear," her mother smiled. "It used to belong to your grandmother." Sophia froze. "Is it old?" "Very." "And are the dolls your grandmother's too?" Her mother hesitated. "I think yes." There was something hesitant in her voice, but Sophia did not pay attention to it. She was too engrossed in the theater. That night, Sophia put the playhouse on her nightstand so she could see it when she woke up. The curtains were drawn and all the dolls were inside the box until she could put on another show in the morning. She lay down on her bed, wrapped herself in a blanket, and closed her eyes. But before she fell asleep, she thought she heard a quiet whisper from behind the closed curtain, as if the dolls were moving on their own. The first night, Sophia woke up with a strange feeling. Something was wrong. The room was quiet, but the air seemed thick, as if filled with invisible movement. She sat up in bed and looked at the puppet theater. The curtain was open, and the dolls were standing on the stage, although she clearly remembered leaving them in the box. Sophia slowly approached, blinking in surprise. The figures formed a strange scene. One doll, small and fair-haired, very similar to herself, stood at the edge of the stage, her arms outstretched. And in the depths, among the wings depicting a forest, another silhouette was visible. Dark, fuzzy, as if someone was watching the doll Sophia from the shadows. The next morning, Sophia forgot about it. Children often forget strange dreams. But when she went out into the garden, a strange uneasiness came over her. She walked along the path and suddenly froze. Someone was standing in the bushes. For a second, she thought she saw a dark figure among the branches. But when she blinked, there was no one there. Only a faint crackling of leaves, as if someone had just stepped aside. The second night, Sophia did not want to look at the theater anymore. But when she woke up in the night, she looked anyway. The curtain was open again, and the scene changed. Now the doll mother was lying on the stage floor, and the dark figure took a step closer. In the morning, Sophia ran into the kitchen, her heart pounding in her chest. Mom was sitting at the table rubbing her temple. "Did something happen?" the girl asked worriedly. "My head is just spinning." Her mother shook her head. "Probably the pressure." Sophia held her breath. Dolls. They predict the future, but then why is the dark figure getting closer? The third night. Sophia did not want to fall asleep, but sleep found her itself, and when she woke up it was already too late. On the stage, all the dolls were lying, scattered across the floor. All except one. The dark figure stood in the center of the stage, and in her hand she held a new doll. The doll was an exact copy of Sophia, and she was no longer standing at the edge of the stage. Now she was in the dark hands. The fourth night. Sophia was afraid to fall asleep, but sleep overtook her itself. She did not know how much time had passed. But when she opened her eyes, she immediately understood the dolls had changed position again. Her heart froze in her chest. The dark figure was no longer standing in the distance. She held her hand out in front of her, her fingers clutching something small. A new doll. Sophia approached the theater slowly, her hands shaking. The doll was too detailed. The eyes were bright, glassy, large, the eyelashes, the pale face, even the small scar on her knee where she had fallen on the playground. It was her. The doll looked exactly like Sophia. Sophia recoiled, almost dropping the theater. She felt something behind her. Slowly, very slowly, she turned her head toward the mirror in the corner of the room and froze. The reflection smiled at her, but Sophia was not smiling. Fifth night. The mother entered the room in the morning, expecting to find her daughter, but the bed was empty. She called for her, searched all over the house, but Sophia was gone. But a new doll appeared on the theater stage. The dark figure was no longer standing in the distance. Now it was hiding behind the curtain, waiting for the next owner of the theater. And the new doll, a copy of the little girl, stood completely still, with wide-open eyes full of silent horror. Now she had become part of the performance.